So you're Caroline Muraldo, and you're the artistic director of Muraldo DC, right?
That's correct.
So not only do you teach, but you choreograph the routines that they dance.
Well, I wouldn't say, if we're talking about quadrille, I wouldn't say I choreograph them as such, because the dances that they're doing are traditional, so they're set choreographically. But I do teach other dance forms from the Caribbean. It's part of our sort of specialism, such dances like Bel Air and other such dances. So those I would choreograph because I do quite a wide range of dance forms.
Okay, so you like to dance, I take it?
Yes, that's what I was made for.
In terms of quadrille, why do you teach quadrille?
Well, I was first introduced to quadrille when I was doing my BA because I wanted to do something about traditional Caribbean dance. As part of that, I decided, because the dance in the Caribbean ranged from the very European right through to the very African. And at the European end was quadrille, which I got to, I can't remember now, it's so far in the annals of time, I can't remember how I first knew about quadrille, probably through reading, that I started to do some research as part of that, part of the degree into quadrilles. Once I started researching and then took part in quadrilles, then I was hooked. My daughter at the time was 3, and she started learning quadrilles as well. And we continued to work with quadrilles, and I started to perform quadrilles and continue to do research into quadrilles. So it's manifold, first because of interest, secondly because I think it's important as part of our culture, because not many people really know anything about quadrilles. Also, the few that do know about quadrilles tend to do Jamaican quadrilles, maybe St. Lucian, but quadrilles are part of all the islands, whether they actually practice them now or they don't. And also, I think that it's a very good way of teaching people about their heritage as people of Caribbean descent or straight from the Caribbean.
Which quadrille style do you focus on mainly when you teach?
Well, I've been teaching for the last few years 3 versions of Jamaican quadrille, but I also started teaching a St. Lucian quadrille. And I have a few quadrilles from Grenada and other places on the back burner ready to bring out, because I find that when people start learning a particular version, that they love it so much they don't want to change. But as a teacher, it's nice for me to be able to introduce them to other quadrilles as well.
Personally, I only know about the Jamaican quadrille, so what are the differences with the others?
Well, the main difference is that the Jamaican quadrille, for example, comes from an English influence, because originally the quadrille started in France. They came out of the courts of France. Then they went from France to England. After the Napoleonic Wars, the soldiers brought over one form, which the commoners led, and then somebody called Lady Grey is attributed with bringing it to the nobility. And from there, at the time of slavery in the Caribbean, the people from the various European countries would practice their quadrilles on their festive days. So therefore, those that came from France and went to islands such as Dominica, St. Lucia, they have the French influence, which is different to the English influence. I mean, I suppose somebody who doesn't really know wouldn't see really the difference, but there are differences, characteristics that you find in the forerunners. You know, so when you look at the French quadrilles, you'll see the similarities in the Dominican quadrilles, the St. Lucian quadrilles, which are different to the Jamaican quadrilles, which have the English influence.
I learned something new there. Maybe a different characteristic, is that like in costume as well? Or
Yes, it goes right through in terms of costume. You can see there is, I would say, basic differences between, say, the Jamaican quadrille and St. Lucian, in that in the Jamaican you have long skirts, all traditional material, because the islands have their traditional materials, long skirts. Whereas, for example, the St. Lucians tend to wear much shorter skirts, but still with a long petticoat underneath, with lots of fancy lace and ribbons underneath. And they may wear, I think it's called a fulia, on the shoulder. And then they have the head wraps, the St. Lucians, that would have the peaks, which have different meaning, whether it be single, married, or just looking. Whereas Jamaican quadrilles, you'll find with the traditional costume there, they don't have the peaks at all. It's just tied at the front.
And finally, what does quadrille mean to you?
Quadrille it means so much really because I've been working with quadrille for a long time, more than I care to mention. I've taught many people, children, right through to adults. My oldest ever student is now 98. I've taught from, I'd say, year 3 upwards. Everybody enjoys it, irrespective of age. I've taught it to people with learning difficulties or physical difficulties. There's a level at which everybody can enjoy it. It's important to me because it's part of my heritage. It's important because it's something that's shared by all the islands. And it's something that we can look at and say that is ours.
Thank you. What's your name?
My name is Jean.
Cool. I'm Natalie.
Hi, Natalie.
I know that you dance quadrille,
Yes.
but why do you dance quadrille?
I dance quadrille because after a long bout of illness, I couldn't do the exercises that I liked to do. I used to walk. I used to do the 10K walk and that sort of thing. And my friend Maureen said, why don't you do some dancing? So she took me to Caroline's school in Hackney and introduced me to Caroline and quadrille. I remember as a child in Jamaica, I used to hear the music and I used to see people dancing it, but never took any more interest. But now I'm just in love with quadrille. I go dancing twice a week, and if there was more, I would go.
You say you heard this quadrille music. Now, what does it sound like? I could tell you what English music or what we listen to now in England is, but how would you describe
It's the
quadrille?
beat. There is a beat that it goes through your soul, and you hear it and you want to get up and you want to dance. And as a small child, I can remember hearing it from my home in the evenings when the men and the older people get together and they play the music and they dance.
What does quadrille mean to you?
Quadrille means, for me, it has been a regeneration of me. It's brought me out of myself. Coming from a point where I was at a crossroad, and now I go out, now I talk to people, which I never used to do, but now I'm so confident. Even my way I walk, my gait has changed, and I'm so happy about doing it.
Now, I know you have a daughter.
Yes.
Did you teach her the quadrille as well, or?
My daughter is a grown-up woman, and she is actually a dancer. She dances quadrille. She dances a tango, and she does American smooth. So whenever she's home on holiday, a couple of times I've taken her around with me to Caroline's school, and she does pick it up quite easily.
That's lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello,
What's your name?
my name is Magdalene.
You dance quadrille.
Yes, I do. It's 3 years since I'm dancing quadrille. I'm from St. Lucia, and ever since I was a child, I heard this quadrille music, and it just really was embedded in my mind, and I always wanted to dance it because my mom's a quadrille dancer, and I used to just admire them, especially when they dance and they make patterns, like flowers, when they swivel around with the skirts and everything. And I've always wanted to do that dance. But having children in this country, you're not able to do the things you want. And when I retired, a friend introduced me to the Afro-Caribbean Center in Barking Road. I went there, and then I found out they were doing the quadrille. And I've been going to this quadrille from that day. I was thrown into the deep end by doing the figure of 8, which I remember most of all. And I'm enjoying it, and I think it's really good exercise. It looks like it's just a simple dance, but when we leave there, you can feel the energy, and it keeps us going. I've met so many different people from different nationalities. We socialize and we make friends. I've always been a very shy and quiet person, but since going to the center and meeting the people during quadrille and so on, I've opened up a little bit more. And also, as my friend said, it's part of our tradition, dancing the quadrille. And I think I give my heart out to Caroline, sometimes I see her really tracking along with her suitcases and everything, and she's always on time. Her dedication, I don't know where she gets it from. And it keeps us going, and I think we all owe something to her for her dedication to quadrille.
That's lovely. What does quadrille mean to you? I can tell it's a very emotional time for you. But.
I went to St. Lucia on holiday, and every time I turned the TV on, there was a quadrille program on with children and everything, and our children are not interested in learning the quadrille. But in the Caribbean, there's so much quadrille going on, and it means a lot to us because it's something, part of us, something we all enjoy, and it keeps people healthy, exercising, dancing, swiveling around, and so on, and the music is so energizing.
So is it fair to say you like the music of quadrille better than what you get in England?
I don't like it, I love it.
You love it. I don't blame you. How do you feel that there's not a lot of men dancing the quadrille?
I don't know, the men are always in the betting shops and everything, and they just leave the women to it, and that's why a lot of our children are suffering in so many ways, because they leave us, the women, to do all the hard work and everything.
Cool. So you'd like to see more children getting involved in quadrille?
Yeah, not only quadrille, even our language and everything. I would like to see our Caribbean children who were born here taking part and getting more involved in everything that's going on.
I agree. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hello.
My name is Maureen, and I'm also a quadrille dancer.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Barbados.
Okay, nice. Nice and sunny as well.
It is.
All of you are from these lovely places. I'm just in England. How long have you been dancing quadrille?
I've been dancing for probably, I'd have to ask the teachers, maybe about 5 years or so. Yes, before I retired, so, yeah, over 5 years, I should say.
What inspired you to start doing quadrille?
I was introduced, I took early retirement, and I was introduced by a friend. And I went, first of all, to the Caribbean Center at Barking. And there, I met Caroline as my first quadrille teacher. But I must point out, I also dance with Pat at the Hibiscus. The dance for me is interesting. And for me, it's a social outing because you've just interviewed maybe about 4 or 5 people, and we all come from different West Indian countries. For me, I didn't grow up with the quadrille. When I was young, I saw elderly folk dressed in these full skirts and with the head ties, but I think they did more square dancing. And in my island, we do reels from within the quadrille. For example, they do something like the maypole. And these events occur when we have special days, like special bank holidays, you know. You find people then come out in full and they put on these costumes and they do that. But I never had experience dancing the quadrille until I joined the quadrille classes with my 2 teachers.
What does quadrille mean to you?
To me, it means quite a lot in terms of the skills that I've acquired now in being able to dance. At times I just feel that I'm going to be such a beautiful dancer because I've learned these different moves, and self-expression is also a place where there's a lot of interaction, social interaction, and it's nice meeting other people from other cultural backgrounds because we share different stories and we're able to communicate with each other. So for me, quadrille really means a great deal as a retired old person.
I wouldn't say you're that old. Thank you.
I must emphasize that we have excellent quadrille teachers. They teach us at the pace or level we can go at. And because of our age and our abilities, we may not be, we're not able to do it properly as it was done in bygone years, but we sure do a good job of it in this present era because of the skills and abilities of our teachers who teach the quadrille classes. So I need to say thank you a lot to the teachers for taking the time and patience.
Hello,
What's your name to start?
my name is Stella.
Cool. I'm Natalie.
Hello, Natalie.
Whereabouts are you from?
You mean here in England?
Country.
Oh, my country, I'm from Aruba.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
That's nice. Is it hot out there?
Oh, it's very hot.
Better than England, I take it.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah, it's very, very hot.
So you dance the quadrille, right?
Yeah, I've been dancing quadrille now for about 6-7 years, I think.
Okay, nice. So what inspired you to start dancing quadrille?
Well, it started like this. I used to walk in the park for the over 50s with a friend of mine. And that friend of mine is from St. Lucia. And she always has this, oh, I want to dance the quadrille. My mom used to dance, I hear about that. So we met one of the persons who used to work with us in the park, knew about this club that were doing quadrille. So they said to her, I can give you the name and you go there and see what is what. So said, so done. So she wanted a company now, so she asked me, are you coming with me? I said, all right, no problem. I went over with her, and that's where Caroline was teaching in Hibiscus. So we went over there, and I said, oh, no problem, I'm not dancing, I'm only here for support. That's what I thought. So Caroline said, no, people don't come here to sit down. I want everyone to dance. So my friend was happy because she got what she wanted, and I was dragged into it. I didn't know my left from my right. Yeah, so I started it. I said, oh my God, what did I let myself in for? So I was going every week, I was going with my friend, and at the end, I picked it up, and now you can't keep me away.
That's good.
I was dancing once 3 times a week. Wednesday, one club, Thursday, another club, and Friday in another club.
You loved it.
I loved it so much. My husband said, oh, when they asked about his wife, my wife, oh, she's dancing. She'll soon end up in Buckingham Palace. But I'm not far away. I'm in New Cross Gate. So I'm enjoying it very, very much.
That's good, that's good. I see that you have this on.
Yeah.
Does it have a name, or is it just like
This is from one of the clubs I'm dancing for. That's the Well. That's a club in Eastham. We done, and so we have this uniform, especially this costume, especially once we dancing for the Well.
Cool. And what about the beads on your neck? Are they for any special reason? Or?
Well, the beads, I suppose, are a sign of the West Indian women. They used to like all this type of glittery and shiny and colorful stuff. So I think it goes with the costume, but I think that's a part of it because they used to have these big earrings and all that.
Cool. I'm getting right now that you're very passionate about quadrille, but if you could sum up what quadrille means to you in one word, what would you say?
Well, quadrille means so much to me that every day I'm praying for my teacher, not to get sick, not to be there. It means so much because I can go out and socialize. It keeps us fit, not only me. It keeps us fit. We socialize and then we can leave the old man behind.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hiya.
Hi,
What's your name?
Melanie.
Cool. I'm Natalie.
Natalie. Hi, Natalie.
I'm going to ask you, you dance quadrille, right?
Yes.
Yep. What inspired you to dance?
Well, when I was a child, a little girl, I always used to see my grandmother used to dance quadrille. My mom, my dad used to dance quadrille. And I loved it from that time. when I came over here, I had my family. I retired. When I retired, I was looking for something to interested in. And she was talking about walking in the park. I'm the friend she was talking about. I was walking in the park and I was talking to a lady called, I forget her name now, but anyway, I was talking to her. And I said, I want to know what's in Newham for us when we retire. So she said, what are you interested in? I said, I would love to do quadrille. I knew one group of quadrille here in this country, but they're called the Lucianites, but they're a little bit away, far from me. So I decided, she told me there was a group somewhere in Stratford. I said, is it? She said, yes. So she gave me the phone number, and I rang the place, and I went there one day, and I saw them dancing the quadrille, and I said if I could join, and they said yes. And from that date, it was 1994, and I'm still there up to now, dancing quadrille, and I dance quadrille about 4 times a week. I have 2 teachers, Pat and Caroline. So I'm always at it. My knees are going, but I'm still dancing quadrille.
That's good. You said when you came over, where did you come from?
St. Lucia.
Okay, St. Lucia. I have one other question for you.
Yes.
I see that you're dressed in a male's attire.
Yeah, because in our group we haven't got a lot of men.
Oh,
so that's why I dance as a man sometimes.
Do you like dancing as a man?
No, not really. Caroline will tell you that. I'm always having a go at her for dancing as a man. But I still do it to help out.
That's good.
Because I love it that much.
You do anything for it. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Jean Watson. Beverly Uncle. Pauline Edwards.
And why do you guys dance quadrille?
Well, we dance quadrille because we believe it's a very rich culture of Jamaica and something that we would like to pass on to our future generation.
Okay. How long have you been dancing the quadrille?
Over 5 years.
Not bad. And what inspired you to start dancing quadrille?
It's the togetherness, the cohesiveness that the dance provides, and from a cultural point of view as well, and I want to maintain and pass it on to, the younger generation.